cable right there on the ground that is supposed to be attached to this, and it's not because the cable's wore out after the last 4 years, broken, rusted through, whatever. So Cheese is going to go out there and tie a rope to the boat, and then we're going to bring the rope back and tie it to this tree. I guess we probably could, really. But you got to get it, we can't tie it too short so the hose kinks. You know what I mean? We got to let it's got to be able to straighten out. Does that make sense, Cheese?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pitter patter, let's get at her, I suppose. Oh, it's hot out.
Did you shave your chest for the TV camera?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not gross and ugly looking. Ooh, that's warm. Ooh, that's cold.
Ooh, it gets deep right there. It gets deep.
It's on the drop off.
Is it over your head right there? What will make it so we don't break the record? And I mean, I don't know how to answer it because it's a great question, but to expect that we're going to do 90 bushel better, 25% more than we ever have, is a lot to expect. But I don't know how to answer the question when he says it. Why? You know, there's several factors why we couldn't break it, but honestly, I don't know what to say. But I don't expect to break it because it's a lofty, lofty goal. But this corn being 11 inches apart and 15 inches apart, this looks pretty sexy. This is the Pioneer 0574, 36,000 population. So, you know, I'm always doing the math. If we can get it to put 2 ears on, 36,000, 2 ears, maybe we can put on 3/4 of a pound of grain per plant. That'd be really cool. And I believe I worked that out. 36,000, 3/4 is 482 bushel, which obviously we need 443. So that's the goal here.
If you want to optimize area, given so many inches perimeter, you want to use a square. That's how you get the greatest area. And I think we're going to reduce competition between the plants and maximize sunlight interception.
Even though it's twice as close as normal this way, it's twice as far this way, and this is awesome for you.
Yeah, kind of geek out over that.
It's been 1 month since Kelly finished planting, and the crop is off to a good start. A few well-timed rain showers early this spring resulted in a quick germination and uniform emergence.
Yeah, the seedling root spread pretty far, and there's the nodal roots right there where it switches from below ground to above ground. So this corn plant's at V4. It started development of them, and those will take over and become the main root source about V6. So coming right along here soon, that one's pretty far along. But right now it's still taking off mostly from the seedling roots.
I think that in theory the 15-inch corn should be easier to raise than the 30. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, Vern. It should be easier to raise because you're spacing the plant out, so you're making it happier. Never want the crop to have a bad day. You always want it to be happy. So a narrower row, spacing it out, it's happy, because I think a lot of people want to increase the population all the time. More plants don't always equate to more yield. You need to do a better job with the fertilizer, better job with the planter. That's what equates to more yield. At some point you would need some more seeds, but we're not there. And 36,000 is not really a high population, especially in 15-inch rows. So if the plants are truly as happy as we're trying to make them, it should want to put that second ear on. And being able to control the water, control the fertility, spacing them out for the sunlight so they're not crowded, I don't know how much happier we can make them.
More room.
Yeah. Do you agree with all those things? Yeah. So they're not crowded. They're spaced out. They should be happy. They should be happy all season. At first, when we planted, we had like a week of wet weather there. It was cool. A lot of people said we're behind on GDUs and we could really use some sunshine. And holy cow, did it change. We went to hot and dry, very sunny. The crop in some spots has suffered a little bit. I don't think that our crop overall has suffered much. We've caught in a couple rains. We had some subsoil moisture. We still have an okay amount of subsoil moisture. A couple days ago we got 3/10 of rain. Now next week the weather pattern is supposed to be changing. It's supposed to cool off. The crop looks okay. Our fertility program, all the work we do to the planters, it really shows us taking off. Our stand is really good.
What we've seen across the Midwest, the upper southern areas, the east, the west, tremendous amount of unevenness in corn this year. Doesn't really matter, what sort of treatment it's got on it. There's just, because of the conditions we saw this year, with warm conditions, then really cold in April, then we turned warm again, then cold again. This corn is really struggling to kind of find its footing and really get going like it should. So a lot of things are starting to even out now across the countryside, but boy, here for the first 2 months, it's really been tough in a lot of areas. I would say this corn here is probably some of the best I've seen from consistent wise across the country.
So Gail, we put the Xyway in the 2x2 here. The corn is at the stage where it's just starting to hit the 2x2. So tell us what's going to happen.
So as that plant reaches that Xyway, we're going to start to see the uptake of that product throughout the plant. We get distribution up through the stalk and through these growing leaves. As this plant continues to grow and it transpires and we move water throughout that plant, we see that product move through the xylem and up through the plant. So as this plant continues to grow, we distribute it throughout the plant, and then we are protecting from some of these early season diseases. So as we get going here, and if we start to get a little more moisture and a little more humidity in our conditions as our summer goes along, we'll start to see gray leaf spot and possibly northern corn leaf blight. Some of those earlier season diseases start to get, develop in that lower part of the canopy. Well, what Xyway can do is it keeps that inoculum down. It starts controlling that Xyway in that lower part of the plant, so we don't get that inoculum building throughout the season, so that when we hit that tassel stage, we don't have a heavy influx of like some of those problem diseases that I mentioned. So it's really about starting that plant and giving it a dose of inoculum early with the Xyway to prevent the disease from getting started, so that we got a better shot of keeping that yield potential all the way through to the end.
Nothing wrong with a healthy plant. Typically we wouldn't have much disease now.
Right.
But we're going to get into the time of the year where the humidity's high. We're going to canopy. Hopefully we get some more rain. Hopefully. And everything gets damp out here, kind of gets that locker room effect, if you will.
Exactly. As this crop starts to canopy, we're going to keep those humidity conditions low in that, a lot elevated in that canopy. And as that happens, that really becomes conducive for some of those diseases that like that moisture, that need that wet leaf surface throughout the season. So by having that Xyway in the plant, we're not letting that disease get started early in the season, and we're going to protect it later on. This is a really critical window to keep this thing happy.
Critical stage.
Keep
everybody says they'll talk about a critical stage. So over the last few days when we've been looking at this, I've decided every stage is critical.
Yeah.
Because everybody talks critical stages.
Yeah, because if you mess up one of those,
you're done.
Yeah, you can't make it up in a lot of cases in the other ones.
Yep.
And
you're
so,
right.
Every one of them, when we pay attention to those critical windows for each one of those and what's important in that window, we can really do a good job of trying to keep this thing happy and maximize it all the way to the end.
This is date night. I have on my cool Ray-Bans. I have a tequila lemonade, and Amber drives really fast. Everyone's happy. little thunderstorm popped up and came across and took some, you know, the heat's gone, the humidity's gone. We got a rain shower. I doubt if it was 2/10 of rain, but it was a nice little rain shower, and just kind of makes you feel better. As hot as it's been, there's so much energy in the atmosphere that can happen, and you just hope you catch one. And I'm watching now because on the radar there's another little cell up there, and I just hope that I hope it gets here and goes across it. You can hear it. You can hear it thunder, and it's starting to move this way. It just, if it holds together or not. This time of year, if you're going to get a rain with the heat we've had, it's going to be a thunderstorm, and it's going to be spotty. It could come with some wind and hail, but that's just where we live.
Mike Evans has lived in western Iowa his entire life. This time of year, he spends a lot of time living in cornfields as he scouts the young crop for any early signs of disease or nutrient deficiencies.
So trying to look for any discoloration. You know, over there I saw a little bit of it. Not seeing as much over this way. There's a nest right here with eggs. Underneath that mare's tail. That little bird that took off. There's 2 eggs right there. A week from now, this field will look a lot different. And then 2 weeks from now, it'll be probably about my head, size of my head. So it'll start really doing its rapid growth and rapid nutrient uptake. So going through its adolescence here shortly is the best way to put it. So to know is by the collar leaf, and that's signified, like with this plant, is where the sheath turns into the leaf. The sheath stays along the stalk of the plant, and this collar's pretty evident when the leaf comes out of there. So we count the collars to get to V6.
Right.
So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I dropped the other one, and 6 is just starting.
Because this one doesn't have a collar yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's between 5 and 6. I'd call it 5. Some people would call it 6. I mean, it just depends on what it is. But we're at a key stage right now because once we get to V6, if I had a knife, a box knife, we could cut it open, and it starts to set the ear, determines the ear.
I always find it interesting though, because no matter what stage we're at, an agronomist will say we're at a key stage. So I've decided when you're chasing high yields, every stage is key. We're at a key stage, V8, key stage.
So between V6 and V8 is when it's kind of setting the girth of the ear, so it rows around.
Right.
There it is.
There's the ear.
There's an ear. Rough generalization, but each node, which are these little,
Those collars.
can produce an ear.
There's a sucker coming off this plant, and a sucker is when the plant has excess nutrition. It doesn't need to use it yet, but it doesn't want to let it get away, so it shoots it out into here, stores it, and later in the season when it needs it, that will get sucked back in and it will use it up. That's a great thing. It means the plant are as happy and healthy as they could be.
Necrosis up here.
There's your potassium deficiency.
And it usually shows up V6, which is corn's about V6. And we've been dry. We just got the irrigation going last week.
How do we know that that's potassium versus the irrigation wasn't working, it's just dry? What's the difference in dry and potassium deficient dry?
Potassium needs water to move in the water solution.
But what if it's just dry?
Well, there's no water.
Either way, it's potassium deficiency.
Yeah. The plant's telling you that. So the plant's taking it from this little leaf, which is a lower leaf, like here, like this one. See where that is? And it's translocating it up to this leaf because it wants to keep the newer leaves healthier. We'll see what the tissues say, but probably come in here and do a little application, a little foliar. Since the trailer ain't here, give it a quick shot, and then when we bring the trailer back, we'll probably throw some cave fuel or something in there too to keep it happy.
We're over here looking for a potassium deficiency. What about this seed deficiency? All through here, there, and there.
We are lacking
Seems
seed. It's
far greater of a problem than potassium shortage. This seems a bigger freaking deal, but no one seems concerned. We're just
we got one
concerned about
grass blade out here.
This is a check strip.
Irrigation is not a common practice for most farmers in this part of Iowa. In order to get water to the crop, Kelly had to get creative.
This is our irrigation trailer. It's a mobile unit on a 36-foot flatbed. We purchased the flatbed. We pull it was just an old wear-out truck we have, and Nachurs, Kurt and Ted Grimm, put the filters, the motor, the pump on there. We put the tanks on for the fertigation, and we move this to 3 different spots and suck out of different surface water areas, and we irrigate about 120 acres with it. 3 40-acre spots, 35-acre spots. And this spot, the water is very shallow where the valve goes in, so we always dig a hole with the backhoe. I forgot to dig the hole, so we sucked a little mud to begin with. Then they dug the hole, so now everything is so stirred up in there that the water we're bringing in, you know, because of the sediment in the water, is so dirty that we can't get good flow because the filters are constantly plugged up. We suspect there could be something on the end of the valve. There's a foot valve or a backflow preventer down there, and we don't know why it won't take off. Usually it's pretty easy to get taken off. I might go try it a couple more times. If that doesn't work, Connor and Colin might have to get in and go swimming and see what's on the foot valve. If that doesn't do it, we'll have to bring the backhoe back, pick that up out of the water and inspect it and see what's wrong with the end of it.
I'd like to try it a couple more times.
Yeah, I think so. All right, I'll try it a couple more times.
Probably take both of us to go in there. Not that f***ing big. You good? I am 97 today. That's cool. I'm a badass. No, he's not. Sexy, got sexy hair. The best looking guy here. I don't know, hardest worker, obviously. Best in shape, toughest one. I don't know, take your pick. Just ask anybody here, I'm clearly the toughest.
Don't get the chance to talk much, he'll take it all. Yeah, well, when you grow up with my dad, Cheese, and everybody else, there's never time to say anything.
Pretty good at it.
Well, I think he kind of looks like Bozo the Clown. He's got it poofed out. It's just not red.
You missed it, dude. There's a double rainbow. Should have videoed that. It looks pretty sweet. It's cute, isn't it?
Last afternoon, Kelly and I and Amber went out and checked one of the fields and saw some potassium deficiency. And it's kind of getting to a key stage of the corn, so we're going to spray some Nachurs K fuel and finish line, along with a couple other things in the tank to help give some nutrition to that crop and get it through this key stage. So we'll be heading out here shortly.